Why don't you introduce it? Okay, do you know what we're going to talk about?
I don't know what we're talking about.
I don't know what we're talking about really either.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome to the first episode of Truth, where you're going to find trauma, recovery, uncensored, and transparent healing. I'm your host, Shelly Robbins.
And I'm co-host Zay.
And we welcome you here with us. So I wanted to start this episode off by explaining why we're even starting this podcast and what it really means. Trauma recovery, uncensored, and transparent healing. That's what truth breaks down to, right? And I know many of us are wondering what that truth may look like. There's a lot of conversations that are being had on the internet, just in society, period, in regards to what recovery and self-discovery looks like. And I think it's really important to pull those things together and have uncensored conversations that most people are not having. A lot of us think it looks one way, and we're here to go into more depth and what that really looks like. And I know when I sat back to think about like why I wanted to do this podcast, and my intention really is just to share my own experience, but in a way that will be able to teach as well in some degree or another. I don't believe I'm some guru or anything like that. I don't believe I have all the answers that might necessarily be needed, but I do know that I have the experience and some knowledge behind it and some proof as well in regards to my own life. And I know Zay as well has had a lot of success in his journey and self-discovery. So what are your thoughts on it?
Hey, I think it's a wonderful thing that we decided to bring this podcast to you guys. I want to piggyback off what you just stated. Hey, we're not experts or anything like that. We're just telling our side and our view and our perception of things, to help you navigate through this life. We was probably like not taught certain things. It was certain things that we probably didn't pay attention in school. We just feel like maybe like anxiousness inside. So we just want to like talk about these things and tips on basically on just how to like navigate through.
The time that we've known each other, we've had hours upon hours of conversation, communicating back and forth in regards to what self-discovery looks like. I know both of us are very curious about ourselves and about life, and we've had some really, really in-depth conversations, and we figured we would bring that here to everybody else because those conversations have really catapulted our own healing journey from whatever that may be. I know we say trauma recovery, and I think a lot of people can relate to some form of trauma. There are different forms of trauma. It could be a one-time event. It could be a one event that is prolonged for a long period of time, or it could be multiple events. And it doesn't necessarily have to be very severe traumatic events that take place. I think all of it looks different to different people, but there's something that most of us may have experienced, but we haven't dealt with. And somehow, usually it will stem from our younger years in childhood, or it could be in our adult life as well. But normally what we were taught, the things we went through as a younger adolescent or a child, we hold on to that, and it kind of creates and molds our character, our mindset, and we start operating from that place, and we never really learned how to deal with it. So then as an adult, we grow up and we start dealing with life and the world and ourselves in that same manner as we did when we were younger, whether it was our parents teaching us that way, our environment at school, or just anything that we may have just dealt with. And we're going to dive deeper into what that looks like on a consistent basis. But just on an overall level, I want everyone to understand that here you're going to be able to find, like Zay said, tips, advice, resources, and just somebody else that really understands what it means to take recovery seriously. And more so the journey of figuring out who you are and being able to be authentic in that journey and really embracing what it means to be yourself. I know if you follow either one of us, we promote Jacalo. That is the brand, that's the motto, that's the movement that we stand by, right? And
that's right. That's right.
I know it's something important to both Zay and I because of the journey we're on to being ourselves, and what that even means, like taking off all the layers that have been burying us alive pretty much our whole life, and getting down to like the nitty and gritty, getting down to the truth of who we are. But it really means that we have to face those demons. We have to face all the things we have gone through, that have been like stored in us, and so we're able to really figure out who we are to the core of that.
Just with making certain type of changes in your life, What would you say that first step was?
Realizing I'm a problem.
Okay.
Like not playing victim, but unfortunately it took me a long time. It took me like a severity level to get to that point, but it's really just taking a good look at myself. Like, stop pointing fingers, stop making blame on other people or the things that have taken place, and realize, like, hey, you know what, I'm the common denominator, so I need to figure some things out and start holding myself accountable.
But you know what? Someone can actually feel as though they can see and feel as though they're the problem, but they don't know how to, I guess, make the necessary changes. They may not have people around them that may be like some type of mentor. They may be in like a low grade environment, and they know that they are affected by it. But what is something that you think they should do and change their navigational system to a straight narrow route?
I really think it just depends on how severe things are, how bad things are at that point when someone realizes, like, oh crap, I gotta change my life. And so, I mean, it's like instant change, like naming it. If it's the people you're with, remove them. If it's your environment where you live, remove yourself. It's taking like action behind it, because I think we can sit there and tell ourselves or tell other people, like, oh man, this needs to change, or I'm not happy with this, or yeah, I wish I could stop this, and all these things. And we say these things and we say it from a place of like wanting and desiring, but we're not like taking action on it. And so it's like, once we realize, okay, like the definition of insanity is doing something over and over and over again, expecting a different result. So if you're to the point where you're like, damn, like something's got to give, the only thing you have control over is yourself. The only thing you have control over is what you do. You may still not even have necessarily control over the results of what you do altogether in the bigger picture, but you have you have control over what it is that you're doing each and every day, what you're thinking and feeling and saying and doing. So at the end of the day, it's like, if you know there is an issue, you need to remove yourself from that environment if that's the environment that's causing it. But it has to take instant action. You can't sit there and ponder on it anymore. You have to take instant action. So usually I think people are like connected with people to that. So those people gotta go. That environment's gotta go, number one. If it's a substance, you go get help. If you can't just get off of it, if there's withdrawals or things like that, go get help. Go to the emergency room. I mean, there's so many different scenarios in which someone might need help, but it's just knowing that you have to take an instant, dramatic form of action in order to see some form of change and start going in a different direction.
Well, to me, that form of action would be mindset first, because you might not even know what action even to take to even move forward. You know, you can advise someone, can be like, okay, you need to take action towards this right here or towards that right there. And you may not feel pulled to do it. And the reason why you may not be pulled to do so and still negate that action is the fact that you haven't been intentional with your mindset first. I feel as though intentional is very key. If you really want the change, you have to be very intentional about becoming that person. Not just thinking of like the end result, like I've won it all and whatever, but you actually got to actually feel that in the present moment now. You actually, no matter what state or situation that you are in, I feel as though you have to trick your mind. You got to try to trick your mind in some type of way. Believe your lie. Hey, we tell ourselves lies anyway. Why not tell ourselves a positive lie? You know, it's just my way of looking at it. But it's like, I feel as though, yeah, it all starts with the mindset, being intentional about whatever you're trying to change and visualizing and seeing that first. And I also think that one should visualize themselves actually taking small action steps, even if they don't know what action steps that is. Just visualize you actually taking some type of action in something. You may kind of, I don't know, it can be cleaning up or something, but whatever it is, some type of, just visualize yourself in a positive aspect of you did take one step further into it. And I think you'll gradually, naturally take action on the steps that you needed to prepare you for it.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the level of where somebody is at and that's why I said like shift the environment first. And even if, with whatever it may look like, because at the end of the day, it's like, yes, mindset obviously matters, and we have to start feeding our mind with positivity, affirming that we are capable, that we are worthy, that we are good enough, that we do have the abilities, we do have the strengths, we do have the wisdom, the knowledge, all the things in order to do what we set out to do. But in the meantime, that piece of our brain is still automated, or is still operating from that automated place of what we know. So we're trying to tell ourselves new information on the surface, but subconsciously, all this other stuff is still continuing on. And that's what does make it very difficult for somebody to really make a drastic change so quickly. Depending on, like, again, what it is you're trying to change. Like, let's say life is fine, but you just have a bad habit you need to switch, then yes, I think that could be applied for. But if your life is like kind of upside down, or you're just really not happy, it could be with work, relationship, all those things. I really truly believe a drastic change has to be taken like immediately. And that could look very different for different people, but it's really, and I think that's why a lot of people wait until it's so bad to make it a change, because that's how uncomfortable you have to get. You have to be so uncomfortable, but it's like you don't have to wait until things are so terribly bad to make a change in your life, and not just that surface change of whatever it may be, but like change who you are in the process of it with it.
But that's what I mean by taking that first change. We had to take form in the mind.
Right, but if you think about it, it's like when you went through a change in something, what did you change first? What was it that was a real ultimate change in your life? Was it your mind, or was it the reality, like your environment, or whatever it was that was bothering you?
It was my mind because I was sick. It was probably like something I was maybe was like sick and tired of going through. It caused me to take action on it because I was tired of going through. So it's something. It's still like mentally. It's still something to being mentally like triggered. That's causing me to take that action. Before you take any type of action, it's a thought before that action.
Right, and normally there's a thought of something's got to change. Something's got to change. Because at the end of the day, people can be like, okay, I drastically want to change my life. It's also, I think, the time frame that you give yourself. So let's say you're not happy with your weight. Like, let's say you're super unhealthy, right? And you're overweight or something like that. You need to lose weight. And that changes your lifestyle. It's not just the food you eat. You have to attempt to change your lifestyle in that. And people can be like, well, let's say they were told that they have diabetes. You need to lose 100 pounds, by the end of the year. If you don't, you may be on insulin for the rest of your life, for an example. So if you're like saying, okay, I'm going to do this change, but you're only making one change. So for instance, you're not really changing the way you eat. You just started like throwing some apples in the mix of it. Or maybe you just went for a 5-minute walk. Like you're making a positive change, but it's not enough. And too many people are doing that. They're like, well, I'm trying, I'm doing it, I'm making a little bit of effort. It's like, no, you have to get serious about it. Like, you have to really, really want the change, and you have to do drastic measures.
But those deals do matter and do count. I feel as though the people that do take steps on those type of deals goes back to what I said for us, like with the mindset. They don't have like that mindset to continue it forward. So that does help. And just walking in general, even if you may need to figure our problem out or anything like that, walking help. So they're gaining something from it, but it's like they got to constantly fuel their mind. It's I got to stay on top of this. Not just, oh, I took this action right here and thinking like your whole life is going to turn around. It's like, no, you got to be aware that you got to constantly take action. It's going to be a constant challenge. It's like the becoming thing. Like you're becoming a new you. You're becoming to the person who you want to become, the person that you want to be. In order to do that, your mindset has to change. You can't be thinking the same way you think today and be this upstanding, successful person with the same type of mindset.
Right.
Because you're not going to take the same type of actions.
Right.
So as you make these type of changes, you got to really observe yourself and be constantly like aware and just constantly keep that vision in mind of I am finna be this top successful person. I am. Even while you taking that walk, just say you walk 2 miles and the goal was 3 and you only did 2. Don't be so hard on yourself making that 3, but don't be so easy on just letting it always slide. You know, just be like, I'm gonna make that up and actually make it up. It counts and it builds certain type of character and builds some type of traits within you that's gonna carry you on later in the future.
I think consistency is key. And you're right in the sense of any, like putting forth the effort of change, whether it's small or bigger. Yes, absolutely. That matters. Like you're making small, significant, it's the small efforts day in and day out that create success. Absolutely. I want to be real with it though, because a lot of people will do very small things forever and get nowhere. Well, I tried. I did my best. And really that's not what it is. And it goes back to this. So it's like, depending on what it is you're trying to change, like it doesn't hurt enough. It's not worth it enough. Like there's no, slapping you in the face like, yo, something needs to change. Most people are like that.
But there's no intention behind it. I feel as though you got to have like that constant intention behind it, because it's almost like, oh, I'm gonna just try this and you just give up on it. You don't got no type of vision and no type of goal in mind anymore. So therefore, yeah, you're gonna probably continue on doing the same thing.
So what should intention look like on a daily basis?
Your goal can remain the same, but it's like whatever steps that you may need to, like, they're gonna carry you out that day, that may differ. Your thoughts may differ. So it's good to pay attention to yourself on like the deals that's gonna better help carry you, because we're not gonna always be motivated to go after our goals, and especially making change to ourselves. We're not gonna always be motivated. So you got to be intentional about, hey, I know this right here gonna come up. I know I'm not gonna feel like it, but I know I'm gonna have to like really trick my mind and say things to myself. If this the thing that better helps me get ahead, or better helps me take action.
And that's where I meant like changing your environment immediately. Because yes, mindset, right? You're trying to train your brain to believe something different than what it's believed this entire time. But if your environment stays the same, especially with the people that are in your life, and it's negativity or just the same level of thinking, it's going to be very hard for you to program your mind in a different channel, basically, a different wavelength, when everything you know is continuously in your face or in your ear. So you have to take drastic change, like immediately, more so with the people that you choose to spend your time with. Like no matter what your goal is, like if you don't have supportive people in your life, positive people, healthy people, people who just even give a damn about their own life, let alone yours, you can love them from a distance. It don't necessarily mean you have to completely remove them out of your life unless it's necessary to. But this is about you right now, because nobody is going to come and save you but you. Nobody is going to give you like the resources and everything everything you need. Like you can find little bits along the way, but it's going to take you and only you, even if everyone disappears. So you have to become so serious and understand that if you want a change, you have to be intentional 1,000%, but you have to be intentional about what you're surrounding yourself with. And unfortunately, a lot of, we are the product of the people we spend time with. You show me your friends, I will tell you who you are. So at the end of the day, it's like, most of us, if we have bad habits, normally there's probably a handful of people around us that got some form of bad habits, the way they speak, what they're doing, their behaviors, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So what is so funny? So it's like, really look at that. Like,
were you that friend
that had bad habits? I have been. I've been on both sides.
I mean, I know we all got like bad habits, but were you that
song
like
by Usher, Bad Habits?
An influential friend with the bad habits that influence others?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. Like, it's hard for me to think of off the top of my head, like, oh, I influenced someone to do something bad that they weren't doing prior.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were already doing it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not going to
Just
say,
asking.
I don't know. I'm
was just
sure I
asking.
have because I've had a lot of bad habits in my life, you know. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I like made my siblings smoke a cigarette so they wouldn't tell on me, and we were like all in the driveway, like looking down the street, make sure my dad wasn't pulling up or anything, and I'm like, hit this. So then I knew it was like lips sealed, like
Oh,
you're
man.
not gonna tell on me because you hit it too. So we're all in trouble. So I dare you.
I knew she had
That
to
was
get up.
really bad. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys.
Yeah, she had to get away from that environment.
Yeah, but but you know, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like having to like understand that, like, look at your circle, look at the people around you, listen to the things they're saying. Does it like level with where you're trying to go? If not, push them aside. If they really are your friends and family, the ones that truly say they love you, they're going to be there when it matters. They're going to respect your boundaries. They're going to
Yeah.
understand that you are making changes to better yourself, and anyone who attempts to make you feel bad about that, their time is up.
And have a sense of urgency. You don't want to be too laxed about it. It's okay to not be so hard on yourself, but you don't want to be too lax either, because that subtlety of, oh, I'm gonna just let this right here slide, that settles in. And the more and more and more you do it, the more and more resistance you are to change. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was going to give an example because it's like, for a long time, I've been listening to the law of attraction and all of those things, you know, personal development for a very long time, since like 2008, 2009, heavy for 10 years, like consistently somewhere, whether it's a book, an audio, a movie, a show, a podcast, whatever, people, networking, what I was doing, I've had it in my face all the time. But the thing is like, yeah, the mindset. So it's like I understood this information, and there were pockets and places and things that I felt like, okay, I'm going to take this and apply it here. Like I was picking and choosing when and how I was going to apply it. And I allowed myself to believe like, well, shoot, I'm listening to it, I'm feeding my mind, but I was still doing negative, you know, toxic behaviors just to myself, such as smoking, drinking, staying out late, just not working out, eating badly, whatever. You know, there's so many different things. And it's just like, at the end of the day, like, am I really getting somewhere? Like, or is it just the surface? Is it just a facade? Like, I don't know. I've questioned myself in regards to that, because it's like I've known so much information for so long, but it took me until like it literally made me feel like, you know, that fork in the road in life, like on a severe level, for me to be like, damn, okay, like I really have to make a huge change. Like I can't just know this stuff and not apply it. It's ridiculous. And apply it in the places that matter. You know, you can't say like you want to be healthy and you could eat like some vegetables, but you light up a cigarette. That don't go together. Like it doesn't make sense. And that was like the dumb shit I was doing. You know, it just depends. I would interchange certain things. So like this part of me could be healthy, but this part was very unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I think because it wasn't a full circle of positive choices that were the betterment of my well-being is what, you know, ended up catching up to me long term.
Well, how would you like to close us out?
First and foremost, obviously, is to be intentional. What's your truth, right? Trauma recovery, uncensored and transparent healing. How uncensored are you willing to go? Do you have certain levels where maybe it might make you feel a little uncomfortable? This probably means you need to push a little bit further. You need to be extremely intentional with going deep within this recovery and discovery journey that you're on. And we're all on it. All of us are on a journey of self-discovery on why we're here and what we're doing, and figuring out the truth of who we are and what life is really about. So at the end of the day, be intentional about it. Like live life on purpose, do it on purpose, and do everything with the intent of bettering yourself. And at the end of the day, the results can be nothing but good.
All I want to add to it is life is not a race, it's a marathon. And let's stay focused. Let's be intentional about making changes. We all have things that we need to change about ourselves, things that we need to better about ourselves. So let's be real about doing so, just little by little. You know, we don't have to be this whole big grand change instantly like that, you know, but it's something that we can work on like each and every day, just every little bit count. But you want to be intentional about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know my intention with the podcast, and like I said earlier, is most definitely to just bring awareness to others on how important it is to be aware of yourself, be intentional with yourself, and really realize how the truth of who you are is really going to set you free. Um, I really hope that I can enlighten everybody and empower individuals to dig just a little bit deeper, to come back each week and just have these conversations with us, to listen in. Again, we're not experts. We've just had a lot of conversation, and we felt the need. It's time to share it because we see results, real results in our life, within ourselves individually, and just in our life in general. And so if it worked for us, we're not special. We just were intentional about it. So if it worked for us, then I'm sure it's going to work for you. So I hope that you guys subscribe, like this video, subscribe to the Jacalo Network, and tune in each and every single week and see what we have in store for you.
You're going to see me mess up. I'm not good at podcasting, but you want to know what? I'm doing this thing. And I want you guys to follow me on this journey as I develop. I'm going to take this thing serious. And, hey, we're going to look back. It's right here, and be like, yo, he was trash. He was super trash in the beginning. But look how much he became, because what? He was intentional about those little changes. So, hey, I want you guys to just follow me on that journey. Watch me mess up all of this type of stuff. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you see you guys next week. Peace.